Yeah.
Now it's the big moment, Rhana. All right, so are you ready? Is everyone ready? This is the big moment.
The first thing to say is too is like congratulations to all of the 14 artists. So, you know, that's 14 artists from 500. Like, wow, so amazing. So the winner this year of the 2021 Churchie Prize is Nina Sanadze. So here is Nina's work. This great concatenation of plaster casts. It's an incredible story, and one that really marries the personal, the political, and brings it together in a really extraordinary way. So this is it's called Apotheosis, and it's based on an 1871 painting called The Apotheosis of War. I have to look his name up. Yes, Vasily Vereshchagin. And in fact, that painting was never seen because it was ostensibly a war painting to celebrate war, and it was actually, there was an inscription on it. It was an ode to all of the conquerors. I mean, it's quite horrific, and it was a pile of skulls with these crows circling around. But it was actually read at the time in 1871 as being anti-war, which was not his intention. So it's very interesting when you're thinking about politics, power, and the role that art has played through time as the voice piece of power and of authority. It
can be problematic.
It can be very problematic. And, you know, of course, we're all very aware of, you know, Black Lives Matter and what is happening globally in terms of monuments. And so many artists have done a lot of research on monuments. And then these actual objects were all plaster, and they were all from this home studio of Valentin Topuridze. And he was a Russian artist who worked for the regime, and he passed away in 1980. But of course, in '89, all of his statues were toppled to. Many of his statues were toppled to the ground when the regime changed and when the USSR shifted. So here, I think we've got one image of Lenin. He was particularly good with Lenin and Stalin, apparently. But most of
didn't mind a bit of Marxism and communism, but stuff the capitalists.
So most of those were destroyed. So I think we've got one here. But what was really interesting is Nina was a family friend of his granddaughter. So Nina actually played amongst these great artificers of a previous era. And so she rescued these plaster casts, which are they're plaster, so they're not marble, they're very fragile, and you can see this sort of palimpsest of time and colour that's happening with them. And so she then accumulated them into this sculptural form. So it's this sort of doubling of monuments, of ideology, of fragility, of time, and also the frailty and the instability, and that, you know, as regimes change, the representation of that era can change in its own way. What I love is some of the details, you know, this beautiful nymph, this headless nymph, but if you look closely, her hands are bound. Yes. So is she defiant? Has she been captured? Is this her from a different perspective? Is this the same form? These folded hands, are they in prayer? This sort of the arc of a back, and there's a beautiful horse's head at one point as well. And this almost like kind of Nike of Samothrace on the top here. So it's up to the individual, and so much of art, you know, opens out possibilities for the viewer of how they actually make these associations and what kind of conversations are happening here. So I find it, you know, the fact that she's mined her own personal history, but is actually talking about much larger ideological ideas, and yet has, you know, a great sense of tenderness and fragility and instability, you know. And I think a lot of people talk about the fractures within society at the moment, and she's, you know, one might think, you know, what's the history of Georgia got to do with with Brisbane, but I think, you know, all worlds collide in art. So I think this is really an extraordinary work.
Yeah, it's like a Baroque opera, isn't it?
Yes,
And
it
there,
is.
there is chaos and catastrophe here. And as you said, this is so poignant for where we are right now. And it's absolutely, as you're right, so powerful, beautiful, but really sad and tragic, but almost a relief. That maybe we're coming to the end of something. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been amazing to share this moment with you and for you to announce these. And well done. And now you can have a champagne because it's opening.
It is opening time. Yeah, great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.